Hello everyone. So hope my previous video will be helpful for you as it has been discussed about about the basic of programming. So in this video I'll try to discuss about basics of C, and there are other things related to C like variables, identifiers, constant, and some other things also. So let's go to the presentation, and there I have discussed that the points what will be discussed through this video. So in this is the chapter 2, which is Introduction to C. Now the content of this is Introduction to C language, and there after that we will discuss files, keywords, identifiers, variables, data types, constant, operators, and storage class. Now coming to the introduction to C. The C was developed in early 1970 by Dennis Ritchie at Bell Laboratories. We are already familiar with this Dennis Ritchie and Bell Laboratories. So initially it was writing for system software. Initially it is used as a system software, and after that it has been used as a programming language. Now what are the basic characteristics of C? It is a high level programming language. In the previous lecture I have discussed that the basic difference between high level and machine language and assembly language. So it is a high level language. The size of this program or the executable file C is very less, and it has only 32 keywords. So keyword number of keywords, the keyword term will be discussed soon, that is very less. Okay, so it is relatively easy to learn and makes extensive use of function calls. So whenever we discuss functions, though I have discussed function through that online classroom, still I will discuss function through this through some videos also. So in that function we can use extensively those functions, and C is well suited structured programming. So there are some structured method are there. So through that structured programming, that is C is well suited for that. And we have also, it is a stable language, it is quick language. Okay, and facilities of low level programming also, it can be done using this also. And supports pointer to refer computer memory, array, structure, functions. So pointer is an important part. I have discussed in the online classroom. Those who have attended have go through this. You can go through the PowerPoint presentation I have shared. Still I will share some videos on pointers soon. And it is a core language, it's portable language, it is extensive language. Okay, now what are the use of C? So C language is primarily used for system programming. Okay, so whenever we designing or creating on system environment, so in that case the C language is primarily used. But the advantage is the portability and efficiency, that ability to access specific hardware address, low runtime demand on system resources. So system resource utilization is much better in case of C, and C has been also widely accepted by professionals that compilers, libraries, and interpreters are other programming language often implemented in C.
It can be also design and compiler, design and interpreter by using of C. And portability and convenience, sometimes it is implementation of other language. Example of C is used: BitC, Gambit, Glasgow, Haskell, like compilers, Quick, Vala. So those are that using C, these languages have been developed. So, and end user application. So implement end user applications also we can use C. So as we know that Arduino, we can have an if I have an Arduino board, so to programming Arduino, we have to know the C programming. Okay, so you can understand that from today's in today's world also, the C is very versatile. So structure of C. A C program contains one or more functions, and the statement in C program are written in logical sequence to perform specific tasks. So we have to write in logical manner. It can contain one or more functions. So one function is the main function that must be present, and there will be only one main, so not more than one. Okay, and along with main there are multiple functions. You can choose any name of the function. Every program must contain one function that has a name main. Okay, so one main should be there. The first C programming. Welcome to the world of C. Now we are this. Sometimes you can write that bye bye corona. You can write. So whatever. So this is the structure of C. So already you have gone through this. Still, I am just discussing as a part of this slide. Now comes to the files. So what are the files used in C? So there are different types of files. We know about source file, we know about header file, object file, and executable files. Okay. Now the source file. The source code file contains the source code of the program. That is which the file is stored as using .c. So in the previous slide, that if I write these things in a file, so that file become a source file. Okay, and other is that the main is the starting point of the execution when you successfully compile and run a program. So it will after compilation, if you want to run a program, it will start from the main file. Okay, so after main, the first line will be executed first, and then so on, and it will continue. A C program generally may include even other source code files with the file extension .c. So a C program can include other also source code file. We can call files whenever we discuss files. So in that case, we can will discuss those things. So other files can also be called in a source file. Next comes to the header file. So header file is the part of the C core program, and where some subroutines, we call that subroutines. So subroutines are defined in the case of source file. We first use standard input output. So otherwise, without including standard input output, so we cannot enter the data inside a C program. Okay, so input output has to be included. That means we have a keyboard, we have a monitor. Those things are the input output hardwares. So that linkage will be done by the stdio.h. The programmer wants to use same subroutine in different programs, and the programmer wants to change, add subroutines, have those changes be reflected all other programs. Conventionally, the header file's name with .h extension, and its name can be used only letters, digits, dashes, and underscores. Well, some standard header files are available in C, but the programmer may also create his own user-defined header file. That is the one of the versatile things of C, that where we can define our own header file also. Next comes to the object files. So in case of object files, we know that in the last previous lecture we have discussed that .obj file, which is basically, and after compilation it has been generated and it is written in the machine language. So only with zeros and one we cannot understand, only machine can understand what the machine wants to do, or machine have to do. So that is the object file. And binary executable file, so that is a .exe file. So we can generate a .exe file using the C programming. So sometimes you can generate one simple calculator and create an .exe file which will be executed in the C programming using GUI. So it is a higher level programming concept. So you can done it your own. Okay. Now comes to the compiling and executing of C programming. So the compilation process is done in two steps. The first step is the preprocessor program reads the source file as text and produces another text file as output. So it reads the source file as a text and it will generate another source file. The source code lines which begins with the hash symbol are actually not written in C but the preprocessor language. Okay. The output of the preprocessor is a text file which does not contain any preprocessor statements. This file is ready to be processed by the compiler. Okay. So first preprocessing is done. Okay. So the output of the preprocessor is a text file which does not contain any preprocessor statement, and this will be ready for the compilation. So the linker combines the object file with the library routines supplied with the compiler and produce the final executable file. The object file combines the object file with the library for routines, that is standard input output, CO and IO. It combines the linker, that is the part of the linker, and then it will finally generate executable file. Okay. Now this is the graphical representation of the steps of the C programming. So source file, library files, it goes to preprocessor, it will goes to compiler, and it is generates the object file, and the linker also links some library files. Again it can be linked as I discussed in the previous videos, that part of the job of the linker is to link a different source file also. So here, from here also another object file goes to linker and then comes to the executable file. Okay. So for simpler programming, only this the above the only one steps will be done. But for any complex programming, there are multiple object files. The linker is goes to sorry for the interruption. Now I have mentioned during my classes that we must have to use comment. So it is a good programming practice to place some comments in the code to help the reader understand the code clearly. So if you want to write a program, suppose in case of any exams, or sometimes you are writing a huge length of program, so there you must do some comments, otherwise you may forget, or in place of you someone is doing work with your file, So he or she will not understand that what is the particular meaning of that particular portions. Okay, so whenever if the comment is possible for any programming language, try to put some comments, and whenever that is crucial. It is not necessary that in every line you put comments, but in some crucial points you must do comment such that any other programmer can understand your code. Okay, so you're going to be coding a coder in someday in after few years. So there you must have to do these practices. Okay. Comments are just a way of explaining what the program does. It is merely an internal program documentation. Right? The compiler ignores the comment when forming the object file. This means the comments are non-executable statements. So we can use double slash, we can use this slash star, and is star slash. So in between these two we can use. So double slash is used as a single line. If we want to use multiple lines, so we can use front slash star and end up with a star front slash. Okay, now keywords. So keywords are the reserved words which will be used to do the compilation or execution of C programs. So there are 32 keywords are present. So those examples are written here. So you are already familiar with the most of the words, most of the keywords. So you cannot use these keywords in any types of variable. I will come to the term variable now, or identifier also. Now come to the identifier. Identifier are the names given the program elements such as variables, arrays, functions. So then one name is basically an identifier. So my name shows it, this is my identity. So similarly you will put some names to any variable. It can be an array, it can be a function. So those everything is an identifier. So it cannot include any special character, punctuation mark like this except underscore. So only underscore can be used in the identifier. There cannot be two successive underscore. That is the rule of the identifier. Keywords cannot be used as an identifiers, and the names are case sensitive. So first, so capital first and small first, and this first letter of this F is. So these are all are different identifiers. So what identifier you are using for what purposes, that you have to must be remember. For a larger program you do use comments there. It must begin with an alphabet and underscore. So one identifier will begin with an alphabet or an underscore. So it cannot begin with any of the special character or any number. Okay. So there are some it can be any reasonable length, and though it should not contain more than 31 characters. So more than 31 characters cannot be used here. Within 31 characters you can use any name of identifier. So better to use which is one identifier which is related to that particular task. So identifier should be named so. Next, come to the data type in C. So CHER, that is character data type. What is the size? 1. The range is -128 to 127. Unsigned character. It is length is 1. It is 0 to 255. Signed character. It is the length is 1, which is -128 to 127. So character takes 1 byte of data. Next, int. So int takes 2 bytes of data. So here are the different ints, and here are the ranges of different ints. So this table, and after that there is long int, long sign int, which float. So this takes 4 byte of data, double takes 8 byte of data, and long double takes 10 byte of data. So this table is very much important with respect to some objective questions. So any type of objective question can be asked. So what is the range? The range of a character is given, or the range of the short int. Generally, unsigned int or int or float or double is mentioned in the question. So not a difficult one will be given, the easy one, but still you have to remember. Suppose if you given unsigned short int, you must be puzzled. So the range is simple 0 to 65535. So that is the range. So please go through this table, which is important for you. Now comes to the variable. A variable is defined as a meaningful name given to the data storage location in the computer memory. So one meaningful name, say sum, can be named as a variable. Add can be also named as a variable. So a can be a variable, b can be a variable. So sometimes we mention int a, int b. Those a and b are the variables. Okay. So what are the meaningful? You can give the variable as a name. Numeric variables can be used to store either integer values or floating values. While integer value are whole numbers without fraction part or decimal part, a floating point number can have decimal point in them. Okay, it is known to you. Modified int and numeric value. The character variable, any letter from the alphabet or from ASCII chart, and numbers that are put between and single quote. Okay, so those are character variables. Clear? So declare variable specific data types, the variable followed by its name, and there must be a semicolon afterwards. So int is the type of the variable, emp underscore num is the variable name, and after that we put on semicolon. Now float is the type of the variable, salary is the variable name, chr is the type of the variable, which is character type variable, and grade is the name of the variable. Double is the float type variable, so balance amount is the name of the variable. Unsigned short int, it is total, is the variable type, and account underscore nong is the variable name. Constant. Now constant are the identifier whose values does not change. So we can define one constant in the starting of the C program. So it will be fixed all over the C program or in the file. So in that particular C file, the that constant will be same and it is fixed. We cannot change that value. So this is commonly defined, that has defined by 3.14159, sometimes we write 3.16. so that means if we want to use this value 3.14, we just write pi into x, say pi r square. What is the area of the circle? So pi r square, so pi into r, so like that we can write. So we don't need to write 3.14159, and also this like that, we don't need to write like that. Okay, so when preprocessor reformats the program, it will be compiled by the compiler. It replaces each defined name with its corresponding value whenever it is found in the source program. Hence it just works like find and replace command available in the text editor. That means we in the text editor we have a find and replace options. So it is just similar like that. So if you have a Word file, you check one, you can find
that and, say and word. So you click on find, you write and there is some replace is there. So you click on that replace with some word and with 2. So all and will be replaced by 2. So like that thing. So this constant works. Rules that need to be applied and the constant, that a has defined statement will be there. Constant name are usually written in capital letters to visually distinguish them from the other variable name, which are normally written in lowercase. Note that this is not just a convention, not a rule. So you have seen, or also I also mentioned that constant should be written in capital words. It's a convention that okay, we constant, we have to be a minimal visual difference between constant and variable or functions. So variable and function in the lowercase and constant in the uppercase. So in sometimes you can use first letter as a capital letter or a constant. You can consider this as your convention. So you are the programmer, you take your convention, okay, and the convention should be understandable to the others also. So that's why it has been global practice that okay, hash define will be in capital letters. A hash define is a preprocessor compiler directive, not a statement, so therefore it does not end with a semicolon. So preprocessor directive, so it will not have a semicolon at the end. Now goes to the stream. Now a stream acts in two ways. It is the source of data as well as destination of data. So sourcing of data and destination of data, there will be so input data and output data from a stream. So streams are associated with the physical device such as monitor or file stored in the secondary memory. We call that a stream. In text stream, sequence character is divided into lines, which each line belongs to terminated with a new line character /n. So we use /n to goes to the new line. On the other hand, a binary stream contains data values using the memory representation. Although we can do input output from the keyword monitor or from any file, but this chapter will assume that the source of data is keyboard and the destination of data is monitor. So we generally consider the data source is the keyboard and the destination is the monitor. So accordingly the stream is present there. So here is the pictorial representation keyboard data, that is the input stream, and the output stream is data to monitor. And this can be two type, text stream and binary streams. Okay. Now goes to printf functions. Already we have known these functions. So that printf, the parameter control C string is content text that has to be written on the standard output device. The prototype of the control string should be like this: %flags width, precision, length, specify. So that is the format. Okay. So flag represents minus, plus, hash, 0. Specifier is what is the type of that: %C, %D, %F, %E, %G, %O, %S, %U, %X. And length is, what is the length is H for short int, I for small l for long int, and capital L for long double. Okay, so these are the required things that will be used here. So like here in length, the specifier, and in the flags. Goes to the scanf.
I already know their things. So Scanf is starting with that percent width modifier type, right? So star is an optional argument which is used for pointer cases. Now width of the optional argument of the specific number or character to be used. Modifiers is an optional argument that can be as h, as capital small l and capital L. What is the length of that? And the same specifier type is the specifier, that is %d, %s, like that. Okay. We already gone through this, or we have already practiced those things. So these are inbuilt functions. Printf and scanf, those are inbuilt functions. So examples, some printf and scanf. So int num, float f num, character, double, short s num, long int, printf, enter the values, scanf, like this. So from here you can get the you can understand that whatever the different data types and how it can be stored. Okay. Now there are different types of operators are present. I have already discussed these operators in my classes. Still I am discussing here also. So arithmetic operator, relational operator, equality operator, logical, unary, conditional, bitwise, assignment, comma operator, size of operator. All of things have been discussed. So in quickly we have discussing here also. So arithmetic operator, we have multiple, division, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, and modulus. Okay. Next comes to the relational operator. It is less than, it is greater than. So greater than, less than, equals to, if it is okay, and it is similarly greater than, equals to. Okay. So in vice versa, it will be, it's also same. So whatever our convention, so less than, greater than, equals to, is it depends upon our expression what we are writing. Equality operators. So equality operators, that equals to is the equality operator, returns 1 if both operands are equal, otherwise 0. And not equals to operator returns 1 if operand do not have the same value. If it is have same value, so it will return 0. Okay. Logical operator, we have a logical operator. So a, double, and b is the logical AND gate. So we have discussed in my class that AND gate in digital and NAND gate, all these things have been discussed in my class. So if you can go through that class notes, so you will have that idea. AND gate, and this is the logical OR operation, and this is the logical NOT operation. So this exclamation A is logical NOT, double bar is logical OR, and double AND is the logical AND. So unary operators. So unary operators acts on single operators. So C language supports 3 unary operators: unary, minus, increment, and decrement operator. So these are the plus is the increment operator, minus will be the decrement operator. Similarly, decrement operator decreases the value by operand -1. So these are the same things. Next comes to the conditional operator, which is also known as ternary operator. So question mark colon is the conditional operator. So I have discussed this. So this is the condition. If it is true, it will be executed this part. If it is false, it will be executed this part. So it has been discussed in my class also. So please go through the class note. If you have that copy, you can have that idea. Next comes to the bitwise operator. So it is similar to the in this previous case, that is logical operator. So bitwise operator, it is boolean AND, it is double AND, boolean OR, it is double OR, and bitwise OR is this single slash, a single line, vertical line, and bitwise AND is single AND line. And bitwise NOT is this symbol. Bitwise XOR is this upper arrow, upper cap symbol. Okay, so between 1 and 0 and 1 and 1, if we have that, if we want to do that operations, in that case we will use bitwise operator. Now we can have bitwise shift operator. So bitwise shift operator is the digits are moved or shifted to the left or right. The CPU registers have fixed number of available bits for storing numerals. So when we perform shift operations, some bits will be shifted out from the one end. So in left, arithmetic zeros are shifted on the right. So unsigned x int equals to 1 1 0 0 0 1. So unsigned means it is shifted, and then x will shift 2, so it will be 0 0 0 1 0 1 0 0. So we had two zeros on the right side, and the left side two ones will be shifted. And unsigned int x, then if a right arithmetic shift is performed, then the unsigned integer will move to that right side. Okay, so the right side 2 bits will be shifted here. Now assignment operators. So variable expression, these operators equals to sign. Okay, and this multiple equals to is equivalent to this. Okay, and plus equals to is equivalent to this one. Variable plus expression is equal to variable equals to variable plus expression. So x plus x equals to x plus 2 can be equals to x plus equals to 2. So that is both are same. Similarly, for this case, minus equals to and equals to this cap equals to this greater than equals to. So this will be also same. Similarly, like this, less than equals to will be also. So all these operators are known as the assignment operators. We have a comma operator. So comma is considered as an operator. So separate between that variables. So in this way, you can define like this using comma. So int a equals to 2, comma b equals to 3, x equals to 0. If we write a, comma b, comma equals to 3, then it will become all are the same. So we can define different values for each variable by using comma. Okay. Now size of operator. So size is an unary operator. So it is these lines are very much crucial with respect to your objective type questions. Size of is a unary operator, ternary operator, um, bitwise conditional operator, or just discussed assignment operator. So these four options will be given. So this type of questions may come in the objective questions. So it can be applied to all data types, and the operator returns the size of the variable data type expression in bytes. So if we size of int, then here we can see that result equals to 2. So int, we know that int takes 2 byte of data. So then in this defined in this line, the result becomes 2. So we know in that particular slide, so here this is the size in bytes. So for any variable, it will return these values. So this is become size of now type conversion and type casting. So type conversion and type casting are the variable refers to changing the variable one data type to another data type. While the type conversion is done implicitly, casting has to be done explicitly by the programmer. We'll discuss them here. So type conversion is done when expression has variable of different data types. So the evaluate expression, the data type promoted to lower to higher level, where the hierarchy of data types can be given as double, float, long, int, short, character. So from character we can go to short, from short we can go to int, from int we can go to long, from long we can go to float, and from float we can go to double. So if we define float x and int y equals to 3, x equals to y, so x will become 3.0. So float is higher than int, so it will not goes to the int. We have defined int y as 3, so we have defined x equals to y. Generally y means y has to be so x has to be integer type, has to convert as an integer type, but here it does not convert into integer type method, so it is goes to the float type method, float type variable. Now typecasting is also known as the forced conversion. It is done when the value of higher data types has to be converted into the value of lower data type. So from higher data type, if we want to convert to lower data type, then we have to use typecasting. Now we have defined, we know that float is higher than int, so float salary we have defined, so int sal, so sal int salary. So this within bracket int is the typecasting. So we are forcing salary to be stored in sal in the form of int. Okay. So typecasting can be done by placing the destination data type in the parenthesis followed by the variable name that has to be converted. So that is the format. So within the parenthesis we have to write the what type we want to cast. Okay. Now operator precedence chart, that has to remember that what is the order of the operators. Okay. Now this is the hierarchy of the data types. So lower level is character, then int, unsigned int, long int, unsigned long int, float, double, long double. So we can sign that we cannot goes to into we can easily go to into float, but if we want to go from float to int, then we need to go for typecasting. So type conversion from int to float is easily possible, but for float to int we do need typecasting. So for float to character we do need typecasting.
And typecasting also knows for conversion. Typecasting is an arithmetic expression tells the compiler to represent the value of expression in a certain way. Okay. Variable scope in C, all constant and variables have defined scope. By scope, we mean accessibility and visibility of the variables at different points of program. A variable or constant C has four types of scope: block, function, file, and program scope. So block scope, function scope, file scope, and program scope. By scope, we mean the accessibility and visibility of the variables at different points of the program. So those are known as the scope. So there is a block scope. So a statement block is a group of statements enclosed within the opening and closing curly brackets. If a variable is declared within a statement block, then as soon as the control exits the block, the variable will cease to exist. Such variable also known as local variable. So int x equals to I. So whenever we exit from this while loop, so the variable x exits. Okay, so that is known as the block scope. Also similarly, int x equals to 10. So whenever we move from x, then also move from main, so therefore x will exit. So for first execution it is 10. So for first execution for this line, it is value is 10. Then we have x equals to I we have defined, so it will become 0, then 1, then 2, then again it moves, and if we go to this statement, then it will become also 10. Okay, so like that. So when it moves from this while loop, that the value of stored data x is exit. So what is the earlier value, that will become active. Clear? So that has been discussed in these lines also in the output. Now function scope is applicable only to go to level names. So we have to use go to. In that case, we have this function scope, that is the programmer can not have the same level name inside the function. Okay. Program scope. If you want to, function should be able to access some variables which are not passed to them as arguments, then declare those variables outside any function block. Such variables are commonly known as global variables. Hence, global variables are those variables that can be accessed from any point of the program. So ax equals to 10 we have defined. So void print is a function. So int main. So print is printf, the value of x is the print. Okay, in the print equals to %dx. So here it is x equals to 2 we have mentioned here. Initially x equals to 10 is present, it is the global variable x. Now here it will be 10 will be printed. Now x equals to 2, it will become 2. Now we are calling this functions print. Now this print will what will return? This print will return x equals to 10. Clear? The print will return x equals to 10 as it is a global variable. So inside main it has been changed once, but after this execution of this line we call to print. Now this x will become, as we exit from main, we goes to the another function, so there it will become 10. When global variable is accessible until the end of the file, the variable said to be have file scope. To allow variable have a file scope, declare that variable with static keywords before specifying data type. Like static int x0, so like that we can have a static keywords. A global static variable can be used anywhere from the file in which it is declared, but it is not accessible by other files. Such variables are useful when programmer writes its own header file. So whenever you write on a header file, so there we have a file scope option. Now going to the storage class. The storage class of a variable defines the scope of visibility and time of the variables or the functions declared in the C program. Going to that directly, this slide, that there are auto, extern, register and static. That what is the accessibility existence where it is present, the default value is garbage. So auto storage class is function or block within it is declared, stored in the main memory. It exists when the function or block which is declared or is entered. So it has some garbage value. If it is extern, that is will be 0 value. If it is static, it will have a 0 value. And if it is a register, it is the CPU register, so it will have a garbage value. So you will go through this table, and this will be helpful for the idea of short note on storage class, like that questions, if this type of questions may come, so that will be helpful for you also. Now there are some programs written here. File1.c, which include file2.c. We have called file2.c. Now there is a file2.c. This is the file2.c. Now we can say that we can include that file inside this. Okay, so here extern is used. Okay. This storage class extern is used here, and also static int here we have used. And okay, so these are this is the part of this introduction to C. We have discussed here global different types of variables, keywords, functions. Sorry, not functions. Keywords, identifiers, data types. All these things have been discussed. We have also this has been discussed in the class also during 2 or 3 classes, but only through this video. I have only through this single video I have discussed here, as it has been already discussed through the classes. So please go through it and share your comments, share your feedback through the comments below the video. Your comments will help me to improve what is the lacuna of this lecture, or what I should need to include in this. Thank you very much. I will come to the next video very soon.